Well, ladies and gentlemen, another Saturday, another statement by Alabama. Dominance of Alabama continues since the loss to Florida State. We're going to talk a little bit about getting humbled past weekend, defensive identity, taking by Simpson's performance, and preview another big game this week. Columbia Missouri Tigers also undefeated as well. But if one thing proved this weekend is that Alabama knows how to respond. Alabama is doing a better job at responding to a punched back with some brute force. All of this is going to be coming up on this episode of Bama Factor with Alex Taylor. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yet again, it's that time of the week again. It's the Bama Factor with Alex Taylor. I'm your host always, Alex Taylor. It's great to be back this week. And again, a lot to really unpack this. Alabama and Vanderbilt, previewing Alabama, Missouri, talking a little bit about Ty Simpson, the defensive identity, and we're going to get into addressing some comments made by a certain quarterback. So a lot to unpack, so let's just get right to it. First and foremost, Alabama and Vanderbilt this past Saturday in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Alabama wins 30-14. And just really the tale of two halves. And not that Alabama necessarily played bad in the first half, but high game, go half, you got to stop to start this second half. And they defensive turned up and score on their final 5 drives. So, again, just absolutely incredible second half as Alabama gets a little revenge from a year, 30-4 final score. And we're going to go ahead and take you to some stats from just of the fact that this is it's becoming a trend of seeing younger guys really this game. So really taking away from that, Alabama just didn't win. Alabama, proved something, and again, you know, they covered the spread and continue to really look at what Alabama's going to do, and it's pretty pretty incredible what they're doing right now. Because look at the first part of the season, or the first game of the season, excuse me, and you look at the effort they gave and how they were playing. I think this is dead in the water, which a lot of people think that it was in the water at that point, even some of our own fan base. I had my frustrations, and I said on the podcast the very next week what needed to be fixed immediately. And it seems like those things have been addressed. Effort, consistency, um, defensive adjustments, and we're going to talk about. But overall, you know, Alabama coming into a game it was going to be um, coming off a very emotional win at Georgia. So, when you come into a game like this, I mean, you could have experienced let down. You could have had a hangover from Georgia, but Alabama came in and they did what feels really good last year. Second segment I want to jump into is one that I've been waiting just a year to go off right now. And you see the title of it if you're watching on YouTube, but if you're not, it's Pavia Humbled. And all year long, we had to hear Diego Pavia, talk a lot of trash. And again, I will say this from a competitor standpoint, I do respect his competitive fire. I respect his confidence. I do. You have to have that. But at the end of the day, you have to be. Vanderbilt's not the standard. Vanderbilt's never going to be the standard. The standard is not a national championship at 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 Vandy. It's not. And when Paul Feinbaum asked him that question and kind of paused, I mean, Paul even, and it is almost laughable because Vandy will never win a national title at all. I'll be very shocked if they. And again, Cedric Alexander, talking, saying, I feel like we're going to go to Tuscaloosa and dominate. Pavia was saying, I've never been to Tuscaloosa. It'll be a good, fun time. He says, keep it between the white lines. If we play our game, it won't be close. And the Alabama defense, they heard that and they took that to heart. And, I feel like that hit from Justin Jefferson and Edric Hill in the first quarter was personal. And I feel like they kind of made their presence known, forced him into some turnovers. Keon Sabb ripping him down by his jersey. Justin Jefferson sacking him in the fourth quarter was huge. And, Diego Pavia did not have a good day. Uh, did very uncharacteristic things, some people say, but that just tells you that I get being confident, but he is cocky to a point. I mean, so much so that, he's practicing taking a knee in warm-ups. He turned towards our student section and did a very provocative and very inappropriate gesture towards them. He was flipping off our fans, coming out of the tunnel. So, the guy had it coming. And again, he's walking off the field and, Alabama fans, kind of, telling him to, talk his crap now and, say all that now. And, Pavia is getting kind of, in his feelings and he's getting butthurt about it. So, but I mean, if you can't take it, then don't dish it out, is what I'm going to say. Expect to get it back when you've been giving it the entire week and the entire year. But the only thing I said last week is I said, you run your mouth coming into Tuscaloosa, you better be able to back it up. And he didn't. None of their team did. And I felt like, again, this was personal. And you saw James Smith, what he said about him in the post game. And I'm not going to repeat what he said. We like to keep this show family friendly. But again, there's a culture contrast at Vanderbilt right now. And I'm not trying to talk about Vanderbilt because, frankly, I don't care. But it's just there's really it's the discipline versus the delusion. And I respect Clark Lee for what he's done at Vanderbilt. I think, obviously, Vanderbilt was 2-10 before he came there, and I think 2-10 his first year, and then he wins 7 games a year ago. He beat us a year ago, and he was 5-0 coming into this game. But I think Clark Lee needed to be humbled. I think Diego Pavia needed to be humbled because let's be honest. Pavia has given them a spark they haven't had ever, and frankly, after he's gone, I don't see Vanderbilt. I feel like they go back to mediocrity. I feel like they're just keeping afloat because there's a lot of confidence right now. Even with this, I mean, they still have a very tough schedule ahead. They have LSU, they have Auburn. They've got a lot of other good teams that they got to play. Tennessee. So I'll be shocked if Vanderbilt, they're 5-1 right now. They could end 7-5. They could end 8-4. I don't know. So again, they've got a lot of. But I mean, Vanderbilt's still a good team. So I will say that quality win. But other than that, I mean, again, sometimes as our old high school coach used to say, humble your pie. And Pavia got his humble, and I don't think it humbled him at all. Um, I think I know the guy hates to lose, but I mean, I think he's still going to have the same cocky attitude. But he still has to go to sleep every night, you know, knowing that we got the better of him, and that we were the better team and shut him down in every sense of the word. He got a few here and there, but than that, so it was really he talked and Alabama answered. Alabama had the answer for him, and we drowned all that talk. Anyway, then kind of leading into that of the guys that kind of had a say to his trash talk, and that is the defense. And again, I've been talking about this ever since the Florida State game, defensive identity, and I feel like I just keep talking about it so much that I'm starting to bore y'all. But again, the defense is becoming a tone setter now. Last two games in the second half, they've allowed 7 total points, and listen to this stat right here. On the first, there were 2 carries in the first quarter that Vanderbilt had that went for 101 yards combined. They had 135 yards rushing for the game. So 136, I'm sorry. So for the rest of the game, they had 16 carries for 35 yards. 9 of those yards came in the second half. The defense adjusted. This is a game last year where Alabama gave up over 230 yards rushing, and Pavia rushed, and Cedric Alexander rushed. And again, they just did whatever they wanted to against Alabama. Completely different this year. Alabama pitched the shutout in the second half. We were physical. We were playing fast. We were playing free. Created some big turnovers, especially. I think the play of the game was really Justin Jefferson's strip. In the first quarter, Vanderbilt's driving again, about to at least go up 10-0, potentially 14-0. Big 3rd and 10, and Justin Jefferson strips that ball. Again, it's absolutely insane. And I don't think you can name a unit in college football right now that's improving quicker and more efficiently than the defense of Alabama. And again, there's still things that they work on. I mean, the first Vanderbilt touchdown, 65-yard or 68-yard touchdown run, Cedric Alexander busts right up the middle. We were too far in. Alignment wasn't good. So again, we still have things that we can improve on, but it's the adjustments by Kane Womack. It's the adjustments by the defense. Ability to say, hey, we took a punch. Hey, we've got to adjust how we defend this, how we guard this, our alignment, our personnel. How do we match it? How do we check off? How do we see what they're in? How do we counter that? How do we disguise some coverages? And Kane did that. I mean, if you look at that, we forced Pavia into some errant throws, some rush throws, threw 2 interceptions. The second one didn't count. He turned the ball over again. And again, the key players that are stepping up, I mean, Johanze Pierre is the first name that comes to mind, and he is just absolutely just wreaking havoc in the backfield. I mean, he is becoming a overnight sensation, and I knew this, watching his high school film from Eufaula, but 5-star, really good edge rusher, but he's really getting his chance to go now, with Quay Russaw being out, and that just says all the more when Quay comes back, because Quay is a 5-star athlete. We know what he's capable of. But then Justin Jefferson, another guy, big 6-year senior type of guy. And actually, I don't know about y'all, but I love irony. And the irony of this is that, Diego Pavia was granted an extra year of eligibility by an NCAA ruling, granting that extra year of eligibility to guys who played JUCO, like he did. Well, Justin Jefferson, the guy who had just a career game against Pavia and made Pavia's life miserable, was also granted the same extension or extra year of eligibility due to the same ruling that Pavia got that Pavia pushed for. So I just think that's some irony that Justin Jefferson wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Pavia. So I do have to thank Pavia for that as well. Um, but even the young guys, London Simmons on the defensive front is going to be a force. I mean, a 3-star, and that just shows me the talent evaluation of the staff. They're insane with their evaluations. Latsier Brooks on the offensive side's a 3-star. Just absolutely incredible. Um, Justin Hill played well. Let's see, Dijon Lee Jr. played well. A lot of these young guys stepping up, and LT Overton continues to be good. Edric Hill, Tim Keenan is obviously stepping up. Domani Jackson looked a lot better. Bray Hubbard still stepped up. Keon Sabb getting that huge interception. It's just Alabama has really become a different type of defense ever since the state lost. I think getting exposed on the ground, effort, the alignment, I think we really went back to the drawing board, and I think we took a inner look at it, and we saw what we could potentially be, or what we knew we could be. Now we're going and we're improving each week. And if you remember, this is kind of the point of the season last year where Bama's defense started to dive and Bama started to really, really, really catch on. And that's kind of the same thing that they've had 2 really good tests past 2 weeks, and they got another one this Saturday, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But now moving over to the offensive side of the ball, we're going to talk a little bit about Ty Simpson. First and foremost, I just want to talk about offensive line. At times kind of struggled this weekend. Did give up 4 sacks. Some of that was on Ty, some was on offensive line. But outside of that, I think offensive line obviously ran the ball for 140 yards. Jam had a good day, and offensive line just answered the bell. All the media saying, oh, Alabama can't run, oh, they can't run block. And Alabama answered the call. Offensive line stepped up. We're rotating a lot of guys, William Sanders, Michael Carroll. Those guys are playing their tails off. Wilkin Formby even moved to right guard at one point. Vandermark's playing well. Cam Dewberry, Parker Brailsford, Caden Proctor, who now has a catch and a carry this year. So we turned him into a wide receiver and a tailback. Now I just want to see him throw a touchdown, and it'll be complete. But again, and the stats of Ty Simpson doesn't even really tell the whole story, but his poise does, leadership does, pretty. And just seeing how he gets the team to rally around him and how he is the commander of that offense, and he's the commander of the team, I think. Because, you got to win the team over as the quarterback. That's what Nick Saban used to preach, is that he needs a guy to take the bull by the horn. And again, he just makes big plays when it matters. His ability to stand in the pocket and deliver. And, the early interception, it affected him. Short memory, he moved past it, came back, had a great day. And now he's in the Heisman conversation. This is no longer Heisman hype or speculation. This is a conversation that people need to start having. Going to, it's not hype, but it's a reality if he keeps this trajectory and he keeps playing at this elite level, and he keeps really spinning the football the way he is and utilizing those receivers like Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard and Isaiah Horton and Rico Scott, Josh Waivers, Latsier Brooks, and other guys. He keeps doing that. He's going to find himself in New York in December is where he's going to find himself. And, he reminds me a lot, his poise in the pocket, his ability to see pressure, his ability to step up. A place where I think he can improve, is he tries to improvise sometimes too much. Kind of saw that in the game Saturday. He gets a little happy feet back there and thinks, he can kind of scramble and do something. And sometimes he can. But then, he kind of took some sacks, almost had a fumble that really would have turned the game in a bad way because Vanderbilt ended up taking that back. Thankfully, he was ruled down. But again, you can see guys on the team, especially I'm talking the whole team too, but especially the receiving core when he's talking and when he's amping them up in the pregame, you can see just that connection. You can feel the chemistry through the TV screen, or if you're there in person, you can feel that chemistry. These receivers trust Ty, and they know that this guy's going to make the right decisions. Now, again, he's not perfect. He did throw backs and kind of threw a couple balls here and there that were iffy, but other than that, he was dealing. Look at the end of the first half, no timeouts. 40 to go, drives us 80 yards down the field and scores a touchdown to tie the game going into halftime. And again, like I said, you can just feel, it building through the Ty Simpson already, out of 16 quarterbacks in the SEC, I think preseason had him at 10 and 11 and 12 and places like that. Now he's vaulted all the way to the top, and people can't deny it. I told people that we're going to find out about Ty Simpson quick. And again, Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard and Isaiah Horton continue to be just tremendous assets for him. Younger guys too, Rico Scott and Brooks. Our tight ends continue to be great assets. Our tailbacks out of the backfield are good assets for him too. They're really good pass blockers. And we're going to have to continue to have Ty Simpson really play at a high level if we're going to continue to be successful. I think Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb, really utilizing him to the best of their ability. I think they're really getting at him, but I think he can be pushed more, and I know Ty thinks that as well. So again, just overall, and these last two just kind of go together as we're kind of getting short on time. But again, we just got to keep the 1-0 mindset each week. Avoid complacency. I view complacency almost as it's the trap of believing your own hype. How I view that in sports. I mean, but complacency is being satisfied with where you are, not really wanting improvement. Dictionary definition word. Satisfaction, being satisfied where you are, really not caring, prove or not. But this team looks like it's locked in ever since the Florida State loss. It seems like they have taken each game one step at a time. Boom, they're welling on it, saying, "Oh, we beat. Oh, you look, we went to Georgia and ended the streak. Oh, we just no. Beat Georgia, we're talking about Vanderbilt. We beat Vanderbilt, boom, we're talking about Missouri. We'll play this weekend, we'll be talking about Tennessee. There is no dwelling on this and think, oh, we got it in the bag, we just have to show up. No, I don't get the feeling with this. I think Kalen DeBoer, his mentality, I think this team has switched mentality, and it's going to have to continue to show because the SEC only gets harder, and this stretch of games only gets difficult, way deeper. And again, their focus has to be championship caliber because standard's always going to remain at Alabama. It's always going to. So, really leading into that is that every Saturday is a new statement. All right. And really leading into that, our Missouri preview, that, Alabama heads into Columbia this Saturday, take on an undefeated Missouri team. This is the third straight week that Alabama will play an undefeated team coming into Athens. Vanderbilt was undefeated coming into week. Missouri coming in Columbia. Missouri has a very capable quarterback in Bo Pribilla, who is transferred from Penn State. Passing numbers are, over 70%, 1,200-yard mark. Not really flashy because the main talking point, the main star of the show, offense, tailback, Ahmad Hardy. From a talent standpoint and production standpoint, Ahmad Hardy is one of the best backs in the country. And I will say that all day long. The guy is good. I've watched his film. He's hard to bring down. Of course, 28, 29 broken tackles this year. Doesn't go down on the first hit. So, we're going to have to tackle it's going to be a tall ask and a tough test defense. Kick on the road. We've got to be able to play well. We've got to come out and we've got to make a statement on. I think, now the thing that you can't really deny here is strength of schedule does kind of play a factor in some of these stats here. Missouri does have defense. Brady's very good on that end. Damon Wilson second is very good. Have two of the highest pressure rates in the country. And the defensive stats are inflated a little bit, and even Eli Drinkwitz said that because of the level of competition they've played these last 3 games. But their strength of schedule is 109th. Alabama's 3rd, so you say, and I said this in the past, Alabama battle test. Got that, kind of that rough edge around them, and they've been tested, they've been put to the fire already, twice on the road. Granted, they lost the first one, but responded back extremely well. That. Um, so I think one of Missouri's weaknesses, I think, is to attack their. I don't think their secondary that much this year. But the fact is that the ball is going to have to come out quick from Ty. It's going to have to really get out of his hands quick because they do have a very, very capable pass rush, and one of the top rush defense and one of the top three nations rush offense. So again, Alabama defense is going to have to play. Going to have to make Bo Prabula beats us with his arm. And he throws for 400 yards. Hats off to him. Major respect. Do I think he can do it? Anything's possible on Saturday. I think he, but do I think he can do it? Well, absolutely. I mean, anybody can play their best game. Do I think he will do it? No. But Ahmad Hardy is a problem, a concern, and I know Alabama is really keying in on that. Ahmad Hardy is a very motivated guy. This could be a program-changing win for Missouri if it happens in Columbia. Undefeated, they're looking to kind of take that top spot in the SEC. It's a big point for Alabama. I never thought we'd be playing Missouri undefeated at this point. Again, I got to give it to Missouri and Eli Drinkwitz. He's doing very good things. Really rebuilt a team. Missouri's got a little pitted up aggression from last year, 34-0. Coming off of a loss against. So, but again, storyline that you're going to have to watch is can Alabama start fast on the road, have a replay of Georgia where we started fast, and again, time of possession will be this game, and Alabama's won. I think their last games lost it with Florida State. But if you really look at the last two games, Alabama has controlled the clock, worn the defense down, and that's what this is going to take. The best way to slow down a good offensive player is to keep him on the sideline. And if you do that, then that defense starts to get tired, and you saw Vanderbilt defense. So again, I say it, they got to start fast on the road. I think with just weapons that we have, run game going. I think Evan Riley's due for a Miller obviously is pride. I think Ryan Williams and Jeremy, Horton, tight ends are going to about tie some. But again, rolling that, our offense, but the defense has got to continue to take have the bend but don't break type of mentality. So Alabama and Missouri, 11 a.m. Central Time in Como, the show me state of Missouri. Missouri comes in 5-0. Alabama comes in 4-1. As we head to the midpoint of the season, early kickoff on the road, hostile environment. This has the potential to be a barn burner. And I will say, I've been really encouraged this week, just to see that a lot of Missouri fans, have some mutual respect for Alabama, have a lot of respect for Alabama, as I do for them. Missouri's a good football team. They're a good SEC football team. And, just the respect that I've had some conversations with fans, it's been very good, hearty conversations. They're very complimentary of Simpson, Ryan Williams, and our defense. I'm very complimentary of, Bo Prabula, Ahmad Hardy, and Damon Wilson, Drinkwitz, the coaching job that their staff is doing. And, I have to say it. Missouri is, I think to this point, I think Missouri's the best football based, in my opinion. Disagree with that, but I think this will be the best base so far, including Georgia. I think Missouri is a doggone good. So again, this is not going to be easy. But I think Alabama goes on the road and gets this done. Makes another statement because there's still a lot of people in the media that are doubting using Missouri, still doubting Alabama, still doubting Ty Simpson. I think Bama goes on the road. I think it's hard fought. I think it could be a game that goes into the fourth quarter. I think Alabama could, potentially struggle to start with. We could give up. But now look, if Ahmad Hardy runs crazy, we could be in for a long day. If slow that down, we're able to play well on offense, the other way around. So, thing is that we just got to keep everything in front of us. Same motivated mindset. Really want to see us win this at all. And I think Alabama goes into Missouri. I'm going to go final score 31-17. I think will be final score. Missouri. I see the Tide, pulling away late. Closer. So again, as of right now, Alabama's not just winning right now. I believe they're right now. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Don't cocky, humble. But they're turning themselves back into a playoff, and they have to keep the same mindset of 1-0 every week. And I just can't play some more. They know what's at stake. Again, the last time that we were ranked number 8, and I jinx this, but also when we were 8 last time, great again. This is the third straight top 15 team, 16 play, and it's going to be a barn burner week in the SEC. Is got another big game next week, Saturday in October. For all huge, and can't wait to see what Alabama does. I want to take all my main socials are here at the bottom. You can follow me on Instagram, X, and TikTok at the.Bama Factor. All of your info, all of your practice footage, all of your highlights, graphics, game recaps, game thoughts, breaking news, everything that you, especially on almost hitting 27K, want to get to 30K by the end of the year. So thankful to you guys for that. Help me get to 30K by the end of the year. Y'all were the main reason and the main driving force behind the growth of this page. We are the fastest growing Alabama page out there, and we continue that for you fans because y'all make this so. I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Wherever you are watching this, time you are watching it, morning, good night, evening, good afternoon. And I hope everyone has a great college football Saturday. Fall is officially in the air, and you can feel the crispness and the leaves starting to change. And Saturdays where there's not a cloud in the sky, and you got that little kind of faint, cool breeze. Smells good outside. Just smells like the fall. Again, means that football's on. A lot of good football this Saturday, like a lot of good ones to watch. Traveling to Missouri if you're an Alabama fan, careful, safe travels to everybody. And again, everybody enjoy your college football Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your, as always, good night. God bless.